All right, let's jump into another deep dive.
Okay.
And today we're going to Salida, Colorado.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is a place that, kind of got thrown into the spotlight thanks to a true crime mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really sad story, and honestly, it's pretty baffling. We're going to be talking about Suzanne Morphew.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
It's a case that makes you wonder what goes on in those seemingly perfect towns,
yeah,
behind closed doors and all that.
right. Like, picture this. It's Mother's Day 2020, beautiful spring day. Suzanne, a wife and mother of two, decides to go for a bike ride,
Okay.
and she just vanishes.
Just gone. Wow.
Gone. Poof. Like something out of thin air.
I bet people thought she was abducted, right? Especially since they found her mountain bike, like, at the bottom of a ravine.
You would think that, right?
Yeah, it's like straight out of a movie or something.
So where did the investigation go from there?
Well, they started digging into Suzanne's life, trying to get a sense of what was going on. And that's when things took a really unexpected turn.
Oh,
They found out she was using a spy pen.
a spy pen. Like
Yeah.
James Bond stuff.
Pretty much. Hidden right there in her bedroom.
It's like something out of a spy film. What was she trying to find out?
Turns out Suzanne was having an affair.
Oh,
The guy's name was Jeff. They had a past together, and they'd reconnected, I think it was a couple of years before she disappeared.
wow. So beneath this, I guess, picture-perfect life, there was this whole other world going on.
Exactly. And it gets even more complicated. Through these recordings, you hear Suzanne and Jeff talking about their future.
Huh?
They wanted to leave it all behind, start a new life in Ecuador.
Really?
Yeah, you can tell they were serious.
So she wasn't just thinking about leaving, she was making plans.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's something else. What else was on these recordings?
Well, it wasn't all about the affair. She talked a lot about her marriage with Barry, too.
Oh.
And it wasn't good. She confided in Jeff, telling him how unhappy and scared she was.
Scared. Like, what was going on?
It sounds like it was a really controlling and abusive situation.
Oh, no.
Suzanne described Barry being both emotionally and physically abusive.
That's awful. Seems like she was trying to document everything, maybe to protect herself.
Yeah, it makes you think, right? We never really know what's going on with people.
For sure. Things are not what they seem, huh? So we have this hidden affair, a troubled marriage, and then Suzanne vanishes. Where does her husband, Barry, fit into this?
Well, right from the start, his alibi had some holes in it.
Hmm?
He said he was away on a work trip when she disappeared.
Yeah.
But the investigators weren't buying it.
Why not?
They use this thing called vehicle forensics. It basically tracks where a car's been by looking at its computer system.
Oh, like the GPS and stuff.
Exactly. And the data showed Barry's truck had been in places he didn't mention.
Like where?
A trash dump, for one.
A trash dump. That's a little suspicious.
Right. It's not exactly a normal stop on a work trip.
So did they ask him about it?
Oh, yeah. Barry said he was out shooting chipmunks on his property.
Chipmunks. Seriously.
But the investigators couldn't find any evidence to back that up.
That's such a weird excuse.
Yeah.
So we have a secret affair, a marriage that's fallen apart, and now a husband whose story isn't adding up. This is starting to get really interesting.
It is, isn't it?
It is. And we're just getting started.
Can't wait to hear what comes next.
Oh, there's so much more. Stick with us.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back.
Back in Salida.
In Salida, still trying to figure out what happened to Suzanne Morphew.
Right, we've got this husband, Barry, whose alibi's got some big holes in
Big holes, plus
What?
the whole secret affair thing.
it.
What else did investigators find?
Well, they found something really strange.
What's that?
A plastic cap from a tranquilizer dart.
Like what you'd use to put an animal to sleep.
Exactly.
What was that doing in this story?
That's what they wanted to know. It was in the dryer.
The dryer.
Of all places, right.
You have to wonder how something like that gets there.
Right, and remember how Barry's a hunter
Hmm.
and how he admitted to using those darts on deer illegally?
Yeah, that's right.
So finding that cap, it was kind of a big deal.
It definitely makes you think.
It did. They started to think maybe Barry had used one of those darts on Suzanne.
Wow, that's scary.
It is. This isn't just a husband-wife fight anymore. This is something way worse.
It makes you think about what people are capable of.
Absolutely. Things aren't always what they seem.
So, with all this, the affair, the marriage problems, this dart cap, Barry's the main suspect now.
Pretty much.
And did they ever find Suzanne?
No, they searched everywhere, but nothing.
So Barry says he's innocent.
He does, even with everything pointing to him.
It's his word against hers, I guess.
Yeah, but without Suzanne, it's hard to know for sure.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Exactly, and that's why this case is so interesting. and
Uh,
frustrating.
It's like a mystery novel, but without the ending.
It is. What really happened to Suzanne Morphew?
That's the million-dollar question. So Barry's the main suspect. No Suzanne. What happens next with all of this? All right, we're back
Back for the final part of our deep dive.
into the Suzanne Morphew case.
Yeah. There's still so many questions, like, where is she?
It's the question that's been hanging over this whole thing, right?
It's been years, and nobody knows.
Before the break, we were talking about Barry, how he's the prime suspect.
Right, but he's still saying he didn't do it.
What's happening with the legal stuff now?
Well, they actually charged Barry with Suzanne's murder,
Wow, really?
but he says he's not guilty.
So what's going to happen?
It's been a really complicated case. The trial's been pushed back a bunch of times.
I can imagine. So what are they going to do, the prosecutors, I mean?
It seems like they're going with all that evidence we talked about.
The affair, the alibi, that dart thing?
Yep. They're trying to show that Barry had a reason to want Suzanne gone and that he had the chance to do it.
But can they actually prove anything without, a body or a weapon?
That's the tough part.
Yeah.
They got to convince the jury that all the evidence together means Barry's guilty.
Like, even though there's no smoking gun.
Exactly. They'll probably say he planned it all out really carefully. That's why they can't find anything.
Makes sense, I guess. So what about Barry's side? What are they saying?
They're going to try to pick apart everything the prosecution says.
Uh-oh.
Like, yeah, the affair was a bad thing, but it doesn't mean he killed her.
Right.
And that dart cap, they'll say it doesn't mean anything.
Interesting. It's kind of like they're telling two different stories.
That's it. One side says he's a guilty husband hiding his crime.
And the other side says he's just a guy everyone thinks is guilty.
It's going to be up to the jury to decide who they believe.
I bet this is going to be a big case everyone's going to be watching.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This whole thing has everything, it's like a true crime movie.
Yeah, you've got this small town, a family that looks happy, then bam, an affair, a disappearance. It's all there.
It makes you think about the dark stuff that can happen anywhere, even in those places that seem perfect.
It really does. And it shows you sometimes we don't know people as well as we think we do.
It's true. Sometimes people can do things you'd never expect.
So this is where our deep dive into Suzanne Morphew's story ends.
We've uncovered a lot, haven't we? Secrets, lies, and a whole lot of questions.
And we still don't know the truth. Was Suzanne murdered? Did Barry do it? Is there something else going on that we haven't even thought of?
We may never know the answers.
It's possible. But Suzanne's story shows us that everyone has secrets.
Yeah, sometimes those secrets are darker than we could ever imagine.
While this is the end of our deep dive, you don't have to stop thinking about it. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Anything surprise you? What are your theories? Share them. Let's keep this conversation going.
We'll be back with another deep dive soon. Until then, keep those minds curious